Hello, I'm Lorianne Lumby with Authentic Freedom Academy, and today is Friday, December 11th, 2020. Don't know where that August came from. And this is our Friday spiritual service. And our theme today is the quickening. And so before we dive into that theme, let's give ourselves an opportunity to arrive here. So I invite you to begin by closing your eyes. And drawing your awareness to your body, connected to the seat, the chair, the couch, or the floor that you might be seated on. To feel that sense of the chair or couch beneath you, to feel it touching your physical body, to feel that connection along the back of your thighs, underneath your arms, if you're resting in an armchair, and feeling that support across and along your back. Really feeling that sense of being here in this moment. And in connecting with that touch between yourself and where you are seated. Feeling in that touch a sense of groundedness, support, maybe even comfort. And as you allow yourself to sink into that, to take a deep breath. Excuse me. Taking a deep breath and really drawing your full self here and now. Breathing in deeply all the way to the root chakra, the base of your spine. Feeling that breath fill you, enter fully into you, and ground you. Allowing the movement of that breath to draw you into a heightened awareness. An awareness of your intention for being here today. Awareness and permission to let go of preoccupations, worries, fretfulness that might otherwise cloud your mind or prevent you from being fully present. And let's rest together in silence for a few moments as we allow ourselves to arrive in this space, in this circle, in this present moment. From that place of presence and focused attention, I invite you to listen to these words from poet Layla A. Fortier, the quickening. You are the pause settled into the marrow of my heart's beat, the fabric of a universe upon the whisper of my own breath. There is no distance between us in the lapse of time and space. We are consumed, one within the other, into layered realms of being. The rippled effect of each echo and trace, where fingers have wandered into places I knew not could be touched. Massaged into a tender breaking of waking. I closed my Venetian eyes, holding in the sacred with my unseen understanding. I will never survive the night without this drink, without your pouring. I have become both milk and rain, if only to slake myself without you. Distilled into this honeyed ambrosia, glistening from the bowl of your own hunger. Partake of me and relieve this fever, this ache of every moment left starved of your touch. The quickening pulse of little deaths, double helix spirals ambient, rush shivering silver, only to shatter into some cosmic pause before being born once again into deeper penetrations. Breathing blood and vitality ingested into obsidian, swallowed in Merlot. The enveloping susurrus of echo, and trace falling deep into waking every moment. The fruit of splendor shedding its own skin that it may be revealed to the light. God alone knows I want to be naked again, if only for you. Earlier this week, as I was contemplating what we might be invited into and where we might be called, specifically for today's gathering, and in connection with the energies that I've been keenly aware of this week, energies that have felt frenetic, not really chaotic, but definitely overstimulating. Energies of so many things at play. And when I looked beyond the material representations or manifestations of that energy, what I saw was a rearranging of parts. It was as if these parts had been waiting in the ethers, waiting beyond what we have seen, what we have known, parts that have always held within them a blueprint and an awareness of what is to come. this energy that has been present within our consciousness on a very subtle and sometimes very direct level. For those of us gathered here, perhaps for our whole life, we have felt the promise of that energy, the calling of that energy, the prophecy of a world that is dying and a new world that is waiting to be born. For myself personally, this week has been so busy, and certainly not busy perhaps in other people's definitions of busy, but definitely work being done or being called to work on many different levels. Some obvious, as in working with clients, facilitating a class. Others not so obvious. Work that is being done in consciousness on a very conscious, energetic kind of level. Deep shadow work. And I would say probably most specifically, intense, vivid, and very active dreams. Even though I'm sleeping at night, I don't think I'm sleeping. And I know I'm not alone in that. As I sat in the earlier part of this week and asked myself, what are we doing on Friday? The theme came in a very simple word, 2 words actually, the quickening. Now, I thought I knew what this word meant. I thought it had to do with labor, but I thought I'd better look it up just in case. And I was correct that it's connected with bringing forth new life, but it is not about labor itself. Quickening is described as the first moment that a pregnant woman feels her baby in her womb. The first time that that child kicks or squirms or presses their hand against the inner walls of the uterus. The quickening is the first moment that we are aware that this life within us is truly a living being. We can feel its presence. We can feel its movement. It is also at that time, in the 40 weeks of gestation, that the baby is moving toward viability. When it can be moving and be felt, it is getting closer to being able to survive outside the womb. But we also know that that baby isn't fully ripe yet. This energy that I have felt this past week and that I have heard echoed in other people's words and experiences is that moment of quickening. It is a collective awareness that something new is happening, that there is a life inside all of us that some of us have been aware of, others perhaps have not. A life that prior to this moment was just a seed. Was just a tiny ovum in the womb, a glimpse, an idea, a hope. a dream. That hope and dream has come to us through so many women and men and in so many different ways, but all articulating a very similar vision. A vision for something new beyond this model of fear, power, and control in which we have been imprisoned. And that imprisonment has varied in degree depending on race, gender, religion, nationality, sexuality, any other way that we as human beings seek to separate ourselves from each other. This quickening provides for us an opportunity, number one, to celebrate the movement closer toward the possibility of new life. It is an affirmation of the way in which we have cared for and carried and nurtured and supported and given voice to that dream. It is a reward of sorts, a reward for the very difficult work that we have all been involved in these last many years. The work of transmutation, of transformation, work that is most often done on the invisible, on a plane that can't be seen. It can be experienced by those that have eyes to see, ears to hear, and an open heart. This has been the work of allowing ourselves to be present, number one, to our own many layers of death and dying. Letting go, transforming, releasing, confronting, all of those things within us, wounds, past traumas, conditioning, that has caused us to be anything but inwardly free. It has also been a time of turning inward, learning to listen to our own inner voice, our own guidance, our own soul's beckoning. Practicing and perfecting the gift of discernment. Recognizing that it is our own inner authority that makes us sovereign. And that authority always takes privilege over anything outside of us that might try to attempt to tell us how to be, how to do, or how to live. We have had an opportunity, if you will, to kill the patriarchal world within us, to destroy the vestiges of hierarchical fear, power, and control that have had an impact on us. We have learned how to take responsibility for our actions and our reactions, recognizing when we are expressing ourselves out of a place of fear or woundedness, taking responsibility for that, transforming those wounds, and being more conscious of making decisions from and speaking from a place of truth, compassion, and love. This is the very difficult work that we have been challenged with for the last many years. That work has been hard, it's been eviscerating. There have been many times when we have found ourselves on the floor in the fetal position, just perhaps hoping we might die, feeling like we might die. All of this work has not been in vain. For in transforming ourselves, the world around us is being transformed. And we have just been through the most, probably not the most in the history of humanity. We have just been through an excruciating time. An excruciating time of fear and unknown, of perhaps feeling as if we don't have control or are out of control. The very real fear of death and dying. And the very loud protestations of the dying system. The closer we have gotten to the death of the old world, the louder it has become. This is the death throes. This week, however, something has shifted. Shifted in a very positive way. While the patriarchy is still crying and moaning and whining, and the most enmeshed in the dying system are having their temper tantrums, projecting fingers of blame, denying the truth. As that is happening, underneath, beneath, and past all of that, a new world is waiting to be born. And I want to be very clear that this new world has absolutely nothing to do with who's president of the United States. This is an energy that moves far beyond individual figures. And the truth of the matter is, anything rooted in a patriarchal system is unsustainable. That system, no matter who is at the head of it, is in the midst of its collapse. The collapse could be loud, or the collapse could be a little gentle whisper as the dying world lets go of its breath. This quickening that we have felt in the past week is the energy of promise. It's saying that that new life that we have carried within us is approaching viability. It is a reward for the hard work that we have done It is a validation and affirmation of what we have carried in our hearts. This is the energy that we are invited to embrace as we move through the final weeks of 2020. And the stars are supporting us in this transition. Tomorrow, the feast of Our Lady of Guadalupe, you will be experiencing a new moon and a solar eclipse. We are approaching some dramatic and powerful galactic formations. I'm not an astrologer myself. I don't even play one on TV. But there is a beautiful article by Simone Matthews that I posted in our on the social network on the Authentic Freedom site that talks about the profound formations that are coming up, all of which herald a movement into something new, more loving and compassionate, more hopeful, more collaborative, and more of what we all have been longing for in the deepest places of our hearts. So in confirmation of the promise of the quickening, I was excited when I pulled a card for today's gathering that the card I pulled is the card I pulled from my Darkwood Tarot is the Justice card. For me, the Justice card has always been a profoundly affirming card because it is about karma. And I want to read to you these words from Sasha Graham, author of the Darkwood Tarot. The Shadow Witch was told to find justice, and she recognizes the scales of balance. Justice traditionally reflects the glue of law and order with social, moral, ethical, and safety codes. Justice takes us on a deeper meaning inside the dark wood. It is a moment of personal truth. The work and effort you put into a project or a situation is what is returned to you. Justice allows no shortcuts, lies, or deceptions. She holds the sword of truth. It will see the heart of the matter and the tenor of all souls. Two kneeling maidens are blindfolded. They can remove their blindfolds once they claim their role and responsibility for the actions, thoughts, and choices bringing them to justice's feet. Those who integrate justice's lessons will act with integrity and become free. We show up for ourselves, our desires, and for other people. The universe responds by greeting us with new possibilities and hidden delights. The Justice card is related to work and effort, karma, the witch's rule of three, that the energy we put out returns to us 3 times over. doing the right thing, even if it is a tough or difficult choice, showing up when we would rather avoid situations, doing right by ourselves, facing the truth. I invite us to take a few moments of silence to allow all of that to settle into us, to percolate, and to nourish our souls.